If you were to mention to a friend in passing that you just purchased a new daily driver, something perhaps to take the kids to school in and use as a holiday towing vehicle for the caravan in summer, but also to keep using through winter, you're averaging up around 40 to the gallon in it and you've paid under £14,000, well, they probably wouldn't assume it were a Range Rover Sport, because those don't sound like the kind of numbers which would even be possible for a vehicle like that, not just in terms of economy, but actually in terms of price as well. These were, of course, luxury 4x4s and still are, except now you have the huge advantage of no longer needing to pay £60,000+ to own one. And take this as a prime example. It's a 2015 HSE Dynamic. Of course, we'll return in a second to the spec sheet to get into what that actually means. And for those who know our collection, we don't even need to tell you what engine it's got because it's the most in-demand one, the 3-litre SD V6. In terms of its condition, this particular Aintree green example with gorgeous contrasting ivory leather, in other words, the exact kind of colour scheme you could imagine the Queen or King going out for a hunting trip in. It's just got that sort of classic British style and look about it, has a full service history behind it, and this is a prime example of what we've said many times about these cars in terms of already proving themselves. This car has already served its previous keepers well because it's just hit 116,000 miles. More importantly, again, with that full service history backing up every single one of those miles, still has its original owner's book pack and 2 keys intact. It's also already had its all-important cam belt change carried out as well. And to return to the point of it being a HSE Dynamic, what that means in practice is, well, a very hefty spec sheet. So deep breath, it has heated seats, of course, front and rear parking sensors with reverse camera, cruise control, that lovely panoramic glass roof, rear entertainment pack, as you can see, with those built-in TVs as well. Could very well come in handy on longer holiday trips, for example, with the kids in tow. Adaptive xenon headlights, which are also self-leveling. Of course, it has LED day runners as well, in addition to LED lights on the rear. Independent 4-zone climate control for each primary passenger. Dual view touchscreen display with 12-volt power points, auxiliary, USB and Bluetooth inputs with voice control navigation, as you would assume from a modern 4x4, power opening and closing tailgate. Adaptive dynamics, as the car's name suggests. A twin-speed high and low ratio transfer box. And if that sounds like gobbledygook, the reality is that means in practice you actually can take one of these on-road and off-road, so it's not just a poser's car, which certainly comes in handy depending on where in the country you live. It has torque vectoring as well, tying hand in hand with that. Of course, ISOFIX anchor points if you do plan to have child seats fitted as well. And to return to the point of that 3-litre engine, even in a full-size luxury 4x4 platform, certainly one which was £60,000 initially, and with a 300 horsepower output combined with 600 newtons of torque, which most people tend to talk about horsepower, so torque doesn't tend to be, well, talked about quite as much. What does that actually mean? Well, simply put, huge amounts of towing capacity, and crucially, the engine never has to work as hard. And if the engine isn't working as hard, well, chances are you're also not using as much fuel. And that is the reality, because up to around 40 miles per gallon of average efficiency, well, it's one of the biggest advantages of this era of the Range Rover, the facelift, of course, over even the ones which came before it. On the motorway, that efficiency is even better, as high as 44, and in a very real sense, you can feel, and certainly your wallet can feel the difference when it comes to yearly road tax because of that efficiency, because even some older Range Rover Sports which came before this, in some cases even with less horsepower and less towing capacity, are as high as £800 a year to tax these days. This in comparison is £345. And once again, that's for a vehicle which is under £14,000. You could barely find a hatchback on the used market with this kind of spec, or even anywhere near to this kind of spec. And of course, that is still with the option of low deposit financing if you did want to spread out that cost further. Of course, if you've already been considering a Range Rover Sport, especially of this facelift generation, this is a lovely example. Fantastic colour combination as well, in beautiful condition. Clearly, this is a car which has, as we said, not only proven itself, but more importantly, it's been loved. And of course, its history attests to that. So of course, if you would like to get in touch about it, you could send us an email to the address shown right here on screen, or give us a call on 01749 871 155, or via our mobile number of 07482 267 439.